How you doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal. And once upon a time, Reebok was popping. And Reebok had what some would consider a revolutionary piece of tech to go in their sneakers. And it was a niche product until the slam dunk contest, where D Brown stopped at half court, put the basketball down, and started pumping up his Reebok Pump. After that moment, this shoe, this particular model actually, the Omni Zone 2, became an iconic piece of footwear. And, to the point where this got re-released on the anniversary of that dunk contest. Well, that wasn't the only thing that made this shoe a big deal. It was everywhere. It was, Reebok did a really good job with advertising this shoe, right? To the point where at one point, there was almost a video game featuring the Reebok Pump that had nothing to do with basketball. And it was really, really weird. I'll explain why in a sec. It was supposed to come out in 1991, which would have been the prime point where the Reebok Pump was at its height. And it was to be published by Parker Brothers. Parker Brothers didn't really have a footprint in video games anymore after their time publishing games for the Atari 2600. But this one was just weird. Let's stop beating around the bush and get into it. Today, we're going to take a look at the unreleased Drac's Night Out. Alright, so in Drac's Night Out, you play as Count Dracula, right? Count Dracula is wearing a pair of Reebok pumps. That's the only thing. That and the fact that you can get some power-ups that increase your speed or your jumping ability. Those are the only things that have anything to do with the Reebok Pump. And honestly, I'm surprised that this game didn't still get re-released with like a change and removal of Reebok branding. But I guess Parker Brothers just decided they didn't want to be bothered anymore. But you play as Count Dracula, and Count Dracula is attempting to escape his tower and go to the village and rescue his bride, Nina. And it's an okay enough video game. You make your way through this tower, make your way down to the street, to his carriage, and you avoid villagers that are trying to get you up out of here. And you use traps you trigger traps. Some have ghosts in them, some are like spears and stuff, or arrows. There's a golem, or Frankenstein's monster, however you want to describe it. There's a bunch of stuff happening that, a bunch of things you can use to get Dracula to the bottom of that tower. Dracula also has his vampiric gaze. He can just woo and spook out a person and get them up out of here. In the process, once they're stunned, those villagers, you can suck their blood because, you are Dracula. Suck their blood, you increase your blood meter, you can use that to turn into a bat to make your way through the castle faster. Once you get to the village, you do some of the same things, but in an overhead perspective, and you go from house to house to look for Mina. There's a situation where you can, instead of turning into a bat, you can turn into a wolf this time. There's also some vampiresses, female vampires, that you can enlist to help you find Mina. And On its own, this could be a good game, but all that weird stuff around Reebok, and the fact that it's Parker Brothers, and Parker Brothers wasn't really known for much in the video game space after, say, 1982. Yeah, it kind of just makes you leery, one. And two, you just, I don't know. It was weird. There was a lot happening here. I don't know how good a lot of it was received, how well it was received by playtesters and stuff like that. But I'm guessing that part of the reason why this didn't really work out was that the Reebok Pump had started to wane in popularity. You had to strike that while the iron was hot. And maybe 91 was when it started to wane. Maybe this should have happened in, say, 1990. Either way, this was an okay enough game where it could have stood on its own. But alas, it wasn't really given the opportunity to. And it was just left as vaporware for a long time. And the ROM was discovered and dumped, and now you can track it down in different places. Emulators, you can put it on your Raspberry Pi, you can even get repro carts. And I'm about to tell you how to do that now. If you decide you want a copy of Drac's Night Out, you can buy a repro cart. There are repro carts all over the internet. Find your favorite purveyor of reproduction game cartridges and get one. About $40 will get you a repro cart of Drac's Night Out. It's not a really good game. It's not one of the better things that you could get as far as reproduction carts go or unreleased games go, but it is an interesting piece of pop culture history and an interesting piece of video game history that you can have on your game shelf. But this has been the 8-Bit Animal, and I'll catch you beautiful people tomorrow. Tomorrow, they promised me monster trucks. That's Ford Rangers and Chevy S10s. I want my money back.